Exactly.
Community
That's what I'm
services.
saying.
Right, and then you could say, we want to look at travel reimbursement
Right.
and all. You're going to have to identify for the forensic auditor, are you going to look at everyone for the past year? Are you going to every department?
Some people think that that should happen. So I'm just saying that the answer is yes, it could be expanded to other departments, but not all accounts in all other departments. So it's within a very controllable sphere
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that
for
we
cost
have,
reasons.
yeah, I think that the way it happens, you have to identify for the auditor what you're trying to find and where you'd like to look.
Exactly.
I don't think though, I mean, this gentleman said complete townwide. I mean, that's every account, every GL we've got, every department. I mean,
Right.
I'm not sure there's enough manpower.
Right,
in the
so
state.
I'm just saying, at the same time, it would be impossible and cost prohibitive to do what he and others
Yeah.
ideologically propose.
Can I read something for you?
It also should not be limited to what's in the allegations.
Gary, can I read something to you? Maybe this will help clarify a little bit. This is a quote from one of the leading forensic accountants in the United States. You need to have a body to trigger a forensic audit. As a forensic accountant, I know what to look for if I have a specific question. But if you tell me to do a general forensic audit, I won't know where to start. So you have to have specific areas. And whatever those specific areas unfold to be, I think what we're saying is we totally endorse doing a forensic audit.
Exactly. I understand exactly what you're saying. I'm just saying if it does expand, you will go at all the departments that are involved in it, in other words. That's all I'm asking you.
Yeah, wherever there's a specific...
Wherever there's a problem, you'll go after it.
I guess
That's
I'd
all
put
I'm
this-
asking you. I'm
guess
not
what
looking
I'm
you to
saying
go over the whole town, just where,
I guess I would say it this way, Mr. Meyer. To the extent there's abnormal transactions that are identified by our as something we should investigate, then
Okay.
we will. Yes, sir.
Mike, is this, when you hire the company, is it ballistic, that is, you tell them to start here and that's the end of it, or can you continue to give feedback as evidence comes in? Of course you need to start somewhere, right?
Right, the initial agreement usually has a certain boundaries are defined. However, those boundaries can be expanded based on their findings, usually at a preset hourly wage.
Do any of you know which auditing firm worked at West Haven and found the $11 million discrepancy in what they were reporting and what they actually had?
They can't answer that.
Checkers International.
That was one of the firms. I'm sorry.
Do you know where they're from?
That was one of the firms that contacted me.
Okay. Mr. Doheny, is that how you pronounce your name?
Actually, it's Donnie, that's
Doheny?
Yes.
Okay. You've asked Mr. Hallahan why he is against firms on the list that can do both audits, but it sounds like you're against two separate firms. And I would think that there would be a conflict of interest if you had one firm doing both audits. I can't imagine why it would be bad to have two separate firms.
I don't think Mr. Hellian's against the firms on the list, just if I wasn't clear before, I don't think he said that, and I don't think I thought he said that.
You kept asking him why he seems to be against the firms on the list that can do both audits. But my question to you is, why do you seem to be resistant to have two separate firms do two different kinds of audits?
I'm not resistant to it. I think it's open for discussion whether or not the Board of Finance wants to have either one firm do them both or have two different firms do it.
The Board of Finance?
Yes, the Board of Finance.
But you're making recommendations to the Board of Finance, right?
We have to make a recommendation on the annual audit, and you were here, I'm sure, for the long discussion Mike and I and Mike had about the forensic audit.
So you're making recommendations, but the Board of Finance is going to make the final decision?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You also talked about the deadline for the audits. Is there a deadline for a forensic audit?
Well, we're not required to do a forensic audit.
No, but you're saying that we needed to get this going because of the deadlines. But I would imagine that if you had corruption and embezzlement in your town, and you needed to have a forensic audit, that I can't imagine that the state would impose a deadline on you.
No known deadline to my knowledge.
Okay, good.
No, not, he wasn't referring to a deadline on the completion, it's a deadline on the decision to hire.
Right, and is there a deadline on the decision to hire a forensic auditor?
I think the words "as soon as possible" would apply. I wish it could happen today.
Yeah, okay.
I'm on your side.
And about the 3-year versus the 1 year, I think the important thing to keep in mind is that taxpayers are the bosses in this situation. We are paying an auditing firm, and if they don't like having a 1 year, let's see how they're doing clause, I think that's their problem. If they're sure about their qualifications, and I can't imagine there's so many situations where you contract with someone where in a year you would say, let's see how you're doing. Let's look at other towns and see if other towns have those clauses. I think we really need to consult with other towns, because apparently, from what I've been reading, fraud is just so widespread now in municipalities, and I would imagine there's any number of towns that have been dealing with this, and with whom we should be consulting to find out if they've used a 1 year. I mean, do you actually know?
No, but I think, a right to terminate clause or something that's written really well and that somehow is acceptable, and it's got to be present in some multi-year accounting contracts. We should definitely have that as a part of what we're looking for here. The advantage, as Mr. Doheny pointed out, in a multi-year contract is you get a much better, a better price. You get a better price for a company that knows that all of its preliminary research will be able to be used again in subsequent years. So it can be to our advantage if we pick a really good firm and we like it, they'll get to keep it. And however, there should be what I call escape clauses, or one escape clause that's in there that allows us, in terms of in moments of heavy dissatisfaction, to part ways.
And the last question I have is,
Excuse me one second, can I just answer a couple of your questions there? Maybe we can do this. Ed, perhaps you can query a couple area towns as to the length of their contracts, including asking them if there is any type of removal clause. And then again, before we get to the next question, we have to at least consider whether or not we think it's plausible or not. But if we send out a contract that looks to a CPA firm like a 1 year contract, what are we going to do if nobody bids?
I'm sorry? I didn't hear the last part.
If we send out an RFP that looks to CPA firms like it's only a 1 year contract, what are we going to do if none of them bid on the contract?
Well, none of them will bid, we will have learned something. But on the other hand, they might want to do a really good job in the first year. And I mean, I can just think of so many different kinds of contractors one could hire, where after each year you would review their work, and they would have incentive to continue to do good work.